Hi guys, it's Laura. I'm so thankful that you've joined me here today to plan your next Disney trip. Now, on our recent trip to Disney, I was challenged to the next level in my skill as a Disney goer and my commitment to taking my kids to Disney because I got to go to Animal Kingdom with my 3 kids and just me. There were no other grown-ups with us. I was the solo parent. And today I'm going to tell you a few of the things that worked for us on that trip, and because we are 4 of the 5 hungry travelers, we're also going to show you the meal that we had and a couple of snack attempts that we had trying to get gluten, dairy, and dye-free things at Animal Kingdom. Here, 5 tips for going to Disney solo with your kids. 3 kids, 1 grown-up, let's go.
Oh, Disney Day! Oh, Disney Day is the best day.
Like so many other people do every year, my husband has an annual conference at Disney. And every year we tag along, and that's fun. It's a great bonus, but it then means that I am by myself at Disney World with the kids. This wasn't a big deal when it was just Asher, but with each kid, this has gotten more challenging. Tip number 1, communicate with your kids so that they understand what's expected of them this day. It's a tricky day, and my 7-year-old, my 4-year-old, and okay, so the 2-year-old wasn't much of a helper, but just communicating expectations helps a lot. So we had a pep talk before we even got into the parks. Are we ready for today?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I need you guys to be my helpers today because it's just Mom. So without any other grown-ups, I need you guys to be the helpers and make it happen, okay? If something happens and you need help, let me know. If something's bothering you, I will try to help you with it. You might have to wait for your turn. Or you might need to help me carry things and walk around. You got it?
Yeah.
Everyone ready to help me out?
Yes.
Oh, so excited. Disney. Believe it or not, just that little talk helped them to give me a little more grace throughout the day. If they needed something and I wasn't available, they knew that they had to be a little patient. And it turned out, it worked pretty well. Step 2 is give your kids tasks so that they know that they have some responsibility and feel involved in the day. And then you don't feel like you're having to do it all yourself. For example, my 7-year-old was actually pretty skilled at pushing the stroller a lot of the time. And I was really intentional about packing our bag in a way that made it very light so that either of my 2 older kids could carry it if needed. Now, don't worry, I didn't hand them my credit card and our park passes and say, here, be responsible. No, I have a lightweight backpack, but then I also have a hip pack or fanny pack that I keep on me at all times. I will say, whatever you pack, make sure you are as hands-free as possible because you're going to need your hands for the kids, not for the stuff. So I put my valuables in here and then had a lightweight backpack that the kids could take turns carrying. That way it wouldn't be catastrophic if the backpack went missing. This one may seem obvious, but for number 3, you're gonna wanna stick to whatever is a child-friendly attraction. I know that at Disney, some of us have gotten so used to using that rider swap option to take turns watching the kids and still getting to go on the grown-up rides. And you basically have to decide all your rides are going to be appropriate for the youngest member of your party and go from there. So for example, when we're at Epcot, we will often ride the Seas with Nemo, but usually as soon as we're done, we head right on out and go to the next thing, maybe Soarin'. But since Soarin' is not appropriate for our little list, we would have in this instance and on other times when we've been there during Nick's conference, ride the Seas with Nemo and then stick around in the aquarium afterwards. My kids could spend the longest time wandering those gorgeous blue windows, and so often we just scoot right on out of there and don't even take advantage of that. So let's find those things that are super kid-friendly, whether it be an attraction or something outside of the ordinary. So at Animal Kingdom on this day, instead of defaulting to Pandora and places that have a lot of more adult rides and attractions, we decided to make it kind of like a zoo day, and we went to Rafiki's Planet Watch. It is set back away from the rest of the park, and so often we don't even consider taking that train back there. But there's a petting zoo. It's perfect for the little ones and talks all about all the efforts Disney is making toward conservation and animal health and safety. And so go learn and let your kids explore things that are perfect for their level.
We are walking around and we are looking for animals.
The train ride was a really sweet way of getting there. And knowing my kids, I usually would spend a day at Animal Kingdom going to at least one show, but I personally find the Nemo show and Festival of the Lion King probably my two favorite shows in all the parks. You can fight me on this, it's okay. I don't know, do you consider Fantasmic a show or like a nighttime spectacular? Anyway, I adore Nemo, but if one of my kids melts down mid-performance, I can't escape to the back because I've got to wrangle all three. So I decided rather than being pinned to one place like that, we were gonna avoid the shows too. You have to decide what's right for your kids though. Here's an extra tip we didn't learn till we were on the way out. At Rafiki's Planet Watch, you cannot take a stroller on the train, and so the whole time you're at the conservation center and the petting zoo, we didn't have our stroller, but I didn't realize that they have some of those Disney rental strollers, both singles and doubles, sitting at the Rafiki's Planet Watch side of the train station. And so you can borrow those for your time that you're there and have a stroller. Genius. I learned about this about 45 minutes too late. They're free for the taking. Don't miss out on that one. Also, another heads up about rides. You may think you picked rides that are kid friendly, but depending on the size of your party, you may also have to navigate kids riding without an adult in their car. So for example, the day that we were without Nick at Hollywood Studios, we rode Alien Swirling Saucers and Toy Story Mania, but for both of those rides, Nora was too small to ride without a grown-up. And Asher did not constitute a supervising adult at the age of 7. So Nora had to ride with me, Axon had to ride with me, and that left Asher to ride on his own. And he was a sport. He rode on his own for both those rides and didn't complain. But if this is an issue for your kids, you should be aware. They might have to ride solo, or you might have too many people, too many little ones, and not enough supervisors to go on that particular ride. If you want to watch it, you can see all about that video here, because it's another day where I was flying solo and you could get some more tips. Confession. We did bring this little backpack. It has Mickey ears. It's so cute. And we put it on Axon. It has a buckle so it stays on him, and it has a little leash. And so I know some parents are like, oh, I would never put a leash on my child. The leashes are for puppies. But in the instance of a toddler that would run underneath the lines whenever you're standing in a queue, those ropes and bars are just the right height for a 2-year-old to just completely ignore. And good luck to you if you've got 3 kids with you and one of your children bolts underneath the line. I knew that I was not ready to have a day that involved crawling under queue barriers. So there were moments where we utilized the child harness. Yes, the baby leash. I am team baby leash on occasion. No shame in the baby leash game. Hey guys, did you subscribe yet? Did ya? Just wondering. Okay. If you'd like to, we'd appreciate it. Moving on. Okay, step 4 is to really think about this day as a day where you have extra breathing room to stop for those little magical moments, those Disney experiences that are everywhere, but you have to be looking for them. And so in a moment where we usually be on the go to the next Genie Plus or our lunch reservation or whatever is on the schedule for the day, it just wasn't a very full docket because I knew on this day I needed to manage expectations and only have 1 or 2 ideas of what we might do and be flexible. And so whenever we were in Africa and the dancers started doing their number with the drumming, we knew that was a great moment to stop and take advantage. This is also a day where you could find a lot of characters around. In Animal Kingdom, there are often animal handlers or puppets or different things that are just magical little touches that you can sit and really just experience in a way that you can't on those days at Disney where you're on the go, go, go trying to pack everything in. Those dancers were so much fun. And they're right next to one of our favorites, Harambe Market, for lunch. All the flavors come together really nicely for what looks like a pretty simple bowl. Woo! It's more flavorful than it looks, but it has some heat. You're doing okay with that heat, buddy? The sausage isn't too much? I think it's probably the same Beyond sausage we had for breakfast yesterday. I went back for apple juice and oranges. This is kind of a rookie solo mom move to forget things, but that really rounded it out and made it a full meal. And the heat on the hot links bowl just adds extra heat to this hot day. But cuties are really refreshing, so I recommend them. And it is hot, but the lettuce gives it this nice, nice crunchy veggie element. It makes it kind of fresh. And I almost never get to eat things just straight off the menu as is. So shout out to Harambe Market because it's gluten-free, it's dairy-free, it's vegan. It's all the things I need it to be without any modifications. No chef consult necessary.
Here comes the airplane.
And tip number 5, and this is true for any day at Disney, is to pay close attention to what your kids are really up for and add or subtract accordingly. You need to pay attention for when they're hungry and need a snack. You need to pay attention for when they're overheated and need to stop and take a break and cool down.
We're getting some slushies. Yeah.
We did try to find a couple of snacks to keep spirits high. We started out looking for some frozen drinks, but since we don't eat any food dyes, these did not work for us. And so I promised the kids something special, and we headed over to Nomad Lounge, where we have had the churros before. It is hot. We've had lunch, and Asher said he's ready to go home. But I told him if he'd go with me on the train to go see the animals, I would buy him some churros. I'm not above bribery. Plus, I want churros, so it's a win-win. Now, this was a fail on my part because, like I said, we've been there before and I had not been told and had not realized that the flour used in the churros contains milk solids. It's cup for cup gluten-free flour, and it is not dairy-free. And so we did get some dairy unintentionally in this snack. So if you are gluten-free and dairy-free, be on the lookout. All the baked goods at Nomad Lounge contain it. It's really a bummer. Now, was this dairy exposure the reason my kids were kind of monkeys at Boma that night for dinner? It might have contributed to it, or it might have just been Disney sensory overload and the wildness that is a jam-packed buffet. But that dinner definitely had its ups and downs. My kids got to sit and rest and have a treat, which was exactly what we needed. And then we had a little extra energy and capacity, and so we unexpectedly decided to go on Kilimanjaro safari. We did not think we were going to make it on the safari today because it's already 2 o'clock. But the standby line was only 25 minutes when we walked by. So here we are. And one of my favorite things about doing this with little ones, Mickey, is that you keep your stroller with you until you're quite a ways through the line. So it's easier to corral the kids because you have your stroller with you. And part of listening for what your kids need is listening for when they're ready to call it a day. Whenever I'm doing a solo day with my kids, it is never rope dropped fireworks. It will always be shortly after lunch we head out, or maybe we don't even get there until late morning. On this day, we did manage to stick around till mid-afternoon, but really important that you recognize how much effort and energy and time it takes just to leave the park and get back to your hotel. So don't wait until your kids are on E to pull the plug. You need to start heading out of the parks before they're fully exhausted and melting down. One of my extra tips and things I bring along is a baby carrier, which my little one is too big to use all the time. It packs up nice and small. This one is the Bitty Bean, and it's really lightweight, so it doesn't take up too much space in my backpack. And it's so lightweight that it's great for when the weather's really hot. We particularly use this like when we were standing in lines waiting for rope drop in the early days of Galaxy's Edge, or we use this as we're exiting the park because almost inevitably the baby's ready to nap, but also my 4-year-old and 7-year-old were kind of ready to sit down. And so I could load at least one, if not two of them, into the stroller and have the baby on my back. This is not a super comfortable carrier, so I wouldn't use it for more than just short clips, times when we needed to transport and move quickly. But as this was just the emergency transportation carrier, it's a great resource to have on hand. And yes, wearing a baby and pushing 2 kids in a stroller was a toll on me physically. So I'm not just waiting for when the kids are on E, I need to know when my tank is empty as well, because I have to have the power to get them home, and I'm not gonna muscle through and make myself miserable, because that could ruin our afternoon and evening plans, even if it's just going to the pool. So to recap the actual physical things that I brought along, it was a lightweight backpack that the kids could carry, a fanny pack or hip pack for the valuables, this stays on me, a lightweight baby carrier for moments where the baby just has to be held, and the toddler harness for moments when the baby decides he's not a baby, he's an Olympic runner and needs to sprint. More than anything, and this is my tip for days at Disney when you're solo, or when you have 2 parents or all the grandparents or a whole slew, maybe you brought a nanny for each child, good for you. The fantasy life. But even on those days, take your expectations and lower them a little bit, and then a little bit more. And not to say it won't be a good day, but that gives you all this extra room for your ideas, your opportunities to grow, instead of a bunch of chances to be disappointed. And so often whenever we set the expectations too high, then we feel like as the parent, especially when you're the only parent there, that it's your job to muscle through and make it happen. And guys, here's the secret. This is true for you today at home. It's true for you when you're on your Disney trip. Don't be the martyr mom. Don't say, I have to make this happen. My kids will have a perfect day, and even if it makes me miserable, don't do it. Nobody wants you to be a martyr. Reject the martyr mom mentality, please, for your sake, because I care so much about you and I want you to have a good time. I want you to find those magical moments in your everyday and in your Disney trip and lean into those, okay? So let me know how your planning's going. Let me know if any of these tips helped you. And while you're here, I'd love it if you would like and subscribe. It helps me out a whole bunch. We made it, guys. We made it through the solo day. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Thanks, travelers.